Yo, what's up, guys? Thank you for coming back to another Hamza Khan Show video. Um, I'm just gonna get right into it because it's been a bit of a crazy week of wrestling. I don't know if you compare to this time last year, how it compares. I feel like last year was a lot more intense, but I think currently we are going towards it, especially with what's happening and how they're playing out with the two shows, Raw and SmackDown, as well as what's happening on NXT as well. Um, Obviously, we just had Vengeance Day on NXT. I thought the last couple of weeks of NXT have been really good. I feel like they've amped it up. They've kind of brought out that thing people love about NXT, which is just the insane matches as well as the unpredictability. Anybody can become a champion. Anybody can change sides. No one's stuck as a heel. No one's stuck as a babyface. It's kind of when the opportunity comes, opportunities are taken. That's how I kind of see it NXT, and I think that's how NXT thrives, especially with the last couple of NXTs with Zarya finally turning heel on Sol Ruka. I think it was about time, and it makes sense, especially with Sol Ruka looking to go up to the main roster quite shortly. I expect it by WrestleMania time, you're going to see Sol Ruka on the main roster. So you want to capitalize on that feud between Zarya and Sol Ruka now, and I feel like that turn was as impactful as it should have been. I think the follow up of it hasn't been as good, but you've still got time to develop it and time to kind of build off it. I think currently we've got especially after Vengeance Day, you've got the triple threat between JC Jane, Sol Ruka, and Zarya. So I think that is just kind of a not necessarily filler, but more so kind of it's just a kind of bridge towards the feud that kind of people want, which is Zarya versus Sol Ruka. That kind of not necessarily blood feud, but kind of making it more so impactful as it can be. So this is just kind of a catalyst. You're in a situation where you need. They were kind of racing for that championship, so having the triple threat, more than likely, I think JC Jane is gonna retain that championship. It makes sense that she would. So should retain the championship, and then Sol Ruka and Zarya can go off from there to kind of feud between each other leading up to WrestleMania. I would expect Zarya to have won the championship at Stand and Deliver. I think she deserves it. She's the one who's pulling her weight. You're wanting someone to be ruthless in that women's division. And I think Zarya can be that person to kind of put everybody on notice, put your Lola Vice, your Kiana Jordan, everybody kind of on notice that Zarya is that guy essentially. So obviously you had that. You've got what's happening with Miles Bone winning the NXT Championship of Ethan Page. I didn't expect it, but it makes sense, especially how good Ethan Page is. You want to level up Miles Bone because he's one of your future talents. So someone to eventually come up to the main roster. So giving him the North American Championship makes sense. And Ethan Page, having him as the North American Championship any longer, it no longer kind of elevates him anymore. He needs to be in that main event, and I think that's what's been teased. You've got obviously the kind of loose um, alliance between Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, and Vanity Project, but you can tell from far away that's not real. That's not kind of gonna last at all, especially with how Ethan Page said 2 times. You know what? Also, he's won. He's won that NXT championship. So him versus Joe Hendry for that NXT championship could be very, very interesting, especially with Ricky Saints lingering outside of that. Off the back of that, what else is happening on NXT? You've got Blake Monroe versus Jada Parker, which I thought was a really good match, and I've been enjoying their feud so far. And I think one thing that I'm not liking so far is that new guy who's got beef with Booker T. I forgot what his name is. He's just coming in. He's kind of just being that monster, I guess. Seen it before. It's not necessarily new. It doesn't feel any new. It doesn't give me any sort of feeling or any sort of want to see more of that guy. It's kind of feeling a bit forced, I would say, in my opinion, with him. But other than that, NXT is always banging. NXT always comes out and gives you a good show. Overall, I thought Vengeance Day, as a pay per view, it wasn't as good as pay per views before that, but I definitely think it was a good pay per view altogether. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like shocking. It wasn't so. It wasn't like I can't watch this. It was good, but that's it. Really, it was good. Um, Off the back of that, what everybody is kind of talking about is what's happening with the main event of WrestleManias. You've got obviously CM Punk and Roman Reigns confirmed, as well as currently Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton confirmed as well. You've got the past versus the present currently. You got the present Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. You got the past in CM Punk and Randy Orton. I feel like they could be the best kind of main events we've seen so far if they are played out as good as they should be. I feel like with the CM Punk and Roman Reigns, you had the obviously confrontation on Raw, the second confrontation where CM Punk brought up Roman Reigns' father, said, I'm gonna bury you with your father, which unexpected line, you didn't see it coming. If you're building a main event, you're building interest. Because that is the kind of level you would expect, especially from someone like CM Punk, who doesn't care about the rules, doesn't care about respect towards Roman Reigns, who he sees as lower than him, I would say. You kind of don't expect that from any other person, but in this feud, especially with how much they've kind of said, I've hated it. I hate the other person. I hate Roman Reigns. I hate CM Punk. But you always think in the back of your head, you're kind of like, sure, whatever you're saying. I don't 100% believe you, but sure, if that's what you're saying, that's what you're saying. But this gives you that belief, especially with what Reigns said. You definitely touched the button in CM Punk talking about how he's gonna retire CM Punk, send him back to the performance center and get him to train people in NXT so that Roman Reigns can smash him, which is something that you think maybe would interest CM Punk going in the future. It sounds like something that he would want to do. Obviously, not taking words from his mouth, but it sounds like something that maybe he would like to do, especially with how much time he has spent in NXT. That could be very interesting for him, but with the way that Roman Reigns said it was very demeaning. It kind of sounded lower. It made CM Punk seem lower than Roman Reigns for Roman Reigns because he wants to keep on wrestling. Obviously, Roman Reigns, probably when he leaves, when he's finally retired, he's probably just going to disappear. He's not going to be in WWE anymore. So you're kind of you're kind of juggling off. Would you rather have someone who kind of helps the business after they retire, or someone who kind of once he's retired just leave up and leave and not really be seen anymore? That's current Roman Reigns. You never know what goes on in the future. You have that kind of feud going on there, and then we've got now confirmed after SmackDown with the Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes match. It's going to be Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, which is, I'm surprised in how people are kind of going or feeling towards it, because it is a feud that people have been wanting and chasing for, especially since Cody returned. They've like, we want to see Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, but the kind of reception to it is we feel bad for Drew, which I also feel a bit bad for Drew. But if you're looking towards to build a main event comparison to CM Punk versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, I don't know if another match between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes would be able to live up to that expectation. If this was the first time they had faced off, or maybe the second time they faced off, then I could back it, because I see there's so much kind of meat on the bone between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, especially how good Drew McIntyre can be, how he's presented, and how he kind of manipulates the truth. It could be a real kind of push the buttons for Cody Rhodes, kind of making him think about everything that he's done so far. But if you're wanting a guarantee, you've got guarantee in Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, especially what happened at the Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton RKO'd Cody Rhodes after Drew McIntyre was taken out, which got Randy Orton the win at Elimination Chamber, which is something to work off of, something to kind of build towards, especially with how Sami Zayn has been in the middle of um, the storyline between Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton, that he could be that kind of link, that kind of moral compass where who in the end, because I feel like one of them does need to turn heel. It can't be a repeat of last year where you had John Cena as the heel going against the babyface Cody Rhodes. Obviously, everybody a lot of people cheered for John Cena because that was his last WrestleMania. So he kind of didn't live up to expectation that it should have been. So to kind of combat that, I think the back and forth between the two going towards um, WrestleMania, and then finally at the trigger end with all the manipulation, all the kind of not really knowing what Cody Rhodes is thinking, what Randy Orton is thinking, and then it comes down to who wins and who pulls the trigger of turning heel against one another. Is it a case where Randy wins and then Cody turns heel, or is it a case where Cody turns heel and that's how he retains the championship, or is it a case where vice versa, Randy turns heel and he wins the championship? That way he becomes a bit selfish and he takes control, and he wants, and he becomes that viper that everybody's wanting to see, and he takes the championship for himself, which would be a shocking moment. And it becomes another case of Cody building from the bottom, which I don't necessarily want to see. But a Cody Rhodes heel turn at this pivotal moment could be very, very interesting, especially with what he's been saying to Sami Zayn. The feud between a bad guy versus a good guy, bad guy Cody Rhodes versus a good guy Randy Orton. Someone with Randy Orton kind of clinging, he's kind of trying his best. He's trying to live up to the expectations of the rivalry between him and John Cena. He needs that 15 championship, but Cody Rhodes as a heel isn't letting it happen. He's not letting go of that championship. He's lost it too many times because of other people taking advantage of him and him not learning. And finally, at this point, he's learned from everything and he's pulled the trigger and he's taken what he wants because he needs to be QB1. It's not a want anymore. It's not something he has a goal for. He's already been QB1 and he ain't leaving that position as QB1 unless someone actually takes it from his hands, his dead body essentially. Which I feel like that could surpass your main event of CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It'll be very interesting to see how they build towards it because you would expect, as obviously you got Roman Reigns' schedule, he's not going to be in every single Monday Night Raw. He's only going to be a few leading up to WrestleMania, but you would expect CM, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton to be at every show. That could be your main event. I wouldn't be mad at it if it's got the build towards it and you can see the finger marks, you can see the kind of things they're alluding to. That could be so much more interesting to see than a kind of Roman Reigns and CM Punk, where the story is another one of those where you get some information, but you don't get a lot of information. There's more questions than answers at the end of it, which is one of the stories that a lot of times can be very, if not executed properly, can be very annoying and very disliking. But that is what's going on currently with those two main events, and I think that is what everybody's looking towards between, say, Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Off the back of that, obviously the other news was obviously Penta winning the Intercontinental Championship of Dominic Mysterio after Dominic Mysterio was, don't know if we're gonna believe it was the curse that caused it, but we're gonna say so after he was cursed, and that's why in the end, after obviously Finn Balor said that Dominic Mysterio wants to do it on his own, he didn't want to do it on his own. Miscommunication. Penta takes advantage, and he wins the Intercontinental Championship. Sorry, I think that's massive for Penta. I think it's really good that he's finally won that championship. He looks really good with it. He's really likable. His matches are really insane, and it kind of opens up that Intercontinental Championship to more competitors and more people you can kind of face without having the competitor look bad, but also keeping that prestige of Penta compared to with Dominic Mysterio. You were kind of not necessarily put into a wall because there's always a way out of it. It was just always a bit of a, you can't put him against this guy because that doesn't make sense. And if he somehow loses, he can probably looks really, really silly compared to maybe this other guy where he loses, but it doesn't affect him as much as that person losing. So Dominic Mysterio losing that Intercontinental Championship, I believe he will lose the Triple A Championship in the next week or so um, to Vikingo. It makes sense why that would happen. Dominic Mysterio has already kind of built himself in Triple A. He's a loved kind of character from the Triple A fans. And Vikingo, that person you want to, he's already healed. He's already been booed out of the arena. If you want him to be booed more, getting him, having him win the Triple A championship, and then also kicking Dominic out of Triple A. Obviously, is wrestling. Dominic Mysterio can come back to AAA. They'll find a way. There'll be a loophole eventually. But I think having Dominic Mysterio back on Raw full time, focusing on building Dominic Mysterio towards the future of him, makes more sense than having him on AAA, even though he's been really amazing there. With this Intercontinental Championship reign, I don't think Penta is going to be keeping the championship up until WrestleMania. I've kind of got my heart set on Dominic Mysterio winning back the Intercontinental Championship, maybe with JD McDonough's kind of help, but not Finn Balor's help. And then that's where we build towards Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania, with finally the Demon returning at WrestleMania and it being that shocking return. Because you want hype for WrestleMania, that's going to bring you hype. But overall, lots of things happening on in wrestling. I'm sure I missed a couple of things that happened on Raw and SmackDown and NXT, but I'm sure we'll bring it up next time. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if it was good, leave a dislike if it was bad, and peace.